Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going over a new national poll that came out by Emerson College Polling. They usually do a poll about once every month or so that looks at the current state of events and how things are going with the current presidential administration. So I thought it'd be fun to do this video today. I'm getting this poll and the link from realclearpolitics.com, so feel free to check them out if you want to look up more about this poll. So the national poll from Emerson says at 50 days, Trump's honeymoon fades as economy becomes key vulnerability, and this was released on March 11th, 2025. The poll begins by saying, a new Emerson College Polling national survey of voters finds President Trump with a 47% job approval rating to 45% disapproval rating. So President Trump does hold a +2 positive approval rating in this poll. Trump's disapproval rating has increased 2 points since last week's national poll, while his approval rating decreased 1 percentage point. As President Trump reaches his first 50 days in office, his approval rating has declined from 49% to 41% to 47% to 45%, reflecting a nation that is deeply divided. Spencer Kimball, executive director of Emerson College Polling, said, despite not yet delivering on the economy in voters' minds, Trump's support remains strong. However, the true challenge will be how voters perceive their financial future. While little has shifted since the election, the initial honeymoon phase seems to be coming to an end. Voters are more supportive of Trump's immigration policy, but they disapprove of his handling of the economy, believe tariffs will hurt economic growth, and are skeptical of his cryptocurrency policy, Kimball continued. A slight majority, 51%, think Trump's second term in office has been more of a success than a failure, and 49% thinks his term has been more of a failure. Very interesting. I bet that's going to break heavily down on partisan lines as well. Trump's approval is strongest on his handling of immigration policy. 48% approve of his handling and 40% disapprove. And his disapproval is the highest on the U.S. economy at 48% disapprove and 37% approve. So let's take a look at some of these polling questions here. Do you approve or disapprove of Donald Trump's handling of the following areas? This is again the March 2025 national poll. When it comes to President Trump's policies on immigration, 48% approve of Trump's actions, 40% disapprove, 12% say they are neutral. Balancing the federal budget, 43% approve, 39% disapprove, 18% neutral. So again, that was +8 on immigration, +4 on balancing the budget. When it comes to U.S.-Mexico relations, 41% approve, 44% disapprove, 14% neutral, that's a -3. Russia-Ukraine war, Trump has 41% approve, 45% disapprove, that's -4. Israel-Hamas war, 38% approve, 41% disapprove, 21% neutral, so there's a lot more neutral in that category, again, -3. U.S.-Canada relations, 37-47 approve to disapprove, so -10 for Trump there. On the economy, 37% approve, 48% disapprove. That's going to be about a net -11 points. Healthcare, 33% approve of the job Trump is doing, 46% disapprove, that's -13. And on cryptocurrency, 23% approve of Trump's handling of it, 38% disapprove, but a whopping 39% of the plurality leader, 39% are neutral on that. 39% of voters think Trump is doing better than expected in his second term. 36% thinks he's doing worse than expected. 25% think he's doing about as expected. Among those who voted for Trump, 75% think he is doing better than expected, 18% about as well as expected, and 7% say worse than expected. Among those who voted for Harris, 67% say Trump is doing worse than expected, 27% say about as expected, and 5% better than expected. So again, breaking down along political lines by a lot, as I'm not really too surprised by that. A plurality of voters, 46%, say Trump's economic policies are making the economy worse, while 28% think they are making the economy better. And 26% say they think they have had no effect or it is too soon to tell. 53% think the U.S. increasing tariffs will hurt the U.S. economy, while 37% think they can help the economy, and 11% think they have no impact. Compared to a year ago, 39% say they and their family finances are worse off, 37% say they're about the same, and 24% say they are better off than a year ago. Black voters are most likely to report being worse off financially than a year ago at 52% compared to 40% of Hispanic voters and 38% of white voters who say the same, Kimball noted. 39% of voters have a favorable view of the Republican Party, while 49% have an unfavorable view of the party. The Democratic Party is 10 points less than the Republicans at 29% favorable and 56% unfavorable. The Republican Party holds a narrow favorability edge over the Democrats, with 39% viewing it favorably compared to just 29% for the Democratic Party, Kimball noted. A concern for Democrats is their standing among Hispanic voters, who view the Republican Party slightly more favorably, 29-58, than the Democratic Party, 26-58. This signals a potential shift in the key voting bloc the Democrats have traditionally relied on, which also could play into the 2024 electoral map, where we saw Donald Trump make a lot of gains in states like Nevada, like Arizona, both of which have very high Hispanic populations. Vice President J.D. Vance has a 42% favorable rating and a 46% unfavorable rating. Elon Musk has a 42% job approval rating at the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and 48% job disapproval. U.S. Congress is viewed less favorably, 29%, while 47% have an unfavorable view of Congress, and the Supreme Court has a 36% favorable rating and 42% unfavorable rating. The survey also went over members of Trump's cabinet. As I mentioned, Vance has 30% very favorable, somewhat favorable 12%. That adds up to about 42%. Very unfavorable 40%, then about 6%. Somewhat unfavorable, that's 46% or so. 11% say they're neutral, and then 2% never heard of the person. RFK Jr. has a 24% favorable or very favorable, 16% somewhat favorable. That's going to add up to, what's that, about 40% or so. 34% very unfavorable, and then 9% adding to that. That's going to be about approximately 43% unfavorable. Marco Rubio, 27% very favorable, 12% somewhat somewhat favorable, 19% neutral. 24% very unfavorable, 12% somewhat unfavorable. Pete Hegseth had a very lengthy confirmation process, 24% very favorable, 12% somewhat favorable, adding up to about 36%. 34% plus 5%, about 39% or so say he's unfavorable, lots of neutral or never heard of this person. And Scott Bessent, 19% plus 13%, that's going to be approximately 32% favorable, and then going to be around 31% unfavorable, lots of neutral or never heard of them. So that's the key parts of the poll. The methodology of the poll, Emerson College Polling National Survey, was conducted between March 8th and March 10th, so not too long ago. The sample of voters equaled roughly 1,000, and the poll had a margin of error of plus or minus 3 percentage points. I like polls that usually go over 100, the higher the sample size, or over 1,000, the higher the sample size, usually the better. And if you want to look at the current Real Clear Politics polling average right now, just to see how this poll compares, again, Trump has 47-45 in this poll. 47-45 in this poll. Right now, Trump's approval rating on Real Clear Politics right now has him at 48.2% approval, 48.4% disapproval. This has come after a week of polls that had Trump underwater. NBC News, which we'll be covering, and Reuters have him -4, -8. Even though Rasmussen had him +5, Remington +10, and Emerson +2, it was enough to put Trump into disapprove by just a little bit going forward. So that's where things currently stand on that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Leave a comment below telling me any thoughts or questions you have. And remember to click subscribe, as I post a new video every single day, so you're not going to want to miss that. That'll do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in a future video.